Talk here on 91.7 The Edge, WSUW Whitewater. We're back here on Thursday. For the first time this semester, I have the opportunity of hosting a day other than Tuesday. It's great to be here. Chris Bittner, your host, joined by Alex, our sports journalism spotlight student, Zach, Mason, and Colin. Guys, how are you guys doing today?
Excellent. How are you doing today, Nolan?
It's great.
I was about to say, what did you do with Nolan?
Yeah.
Nolan is currently having car troubles, unfortunately, so he will not be here today. But
Liar.
that we're gonna jump right
Probably watching
into
the
our
Masters.
Yeah, probably. I mean, we talked about it on Tuesday. It's probably the biggest golf tournament of the year. But with that, we're gonna jump into our obscure sports segment today, which is I guess balloons, for a lack of a better term. Kind of like a keep up off the ground type of thing, if you guys know what I mean, where like everyone just tries to hit the balloon. I don't know about you guys, but I turn into a 5-star athlete every time I play keep up the balloon off the floor. I'm diving everywhere, into the couch. It doesn't matter. I'm keeping that thing off the ground. Colin, any thoughts?
It's a dangerous game. We saw them wearing helmets out there. You could get CTE. This could turn into CTE ESPN real quick. You're playing balloons a little too aggressively. I used to play it as a kid. Anytime you put a balloon in my hands, I'm going to start a game of
That thing is never touching the
I didn't
ground.
know they made an actual sport out of
By
this.
any means necessary.
But it's pretty sick. I didn't know there were actual adult people doing this, but I'd say leave it to the 5-year-olds, personally.
Respectfully, I heavily disagree with you.
He's like the MVP of this. Come on now, Colin. You're really offending him. But honestly, like I like it just because like I don't know, like balloons for some reason just get me going. Like I love balloons, man. Just gotta keep them off the ground. Like there's cars and everything in this. Sure, I'd love to do it, honestly.
Zach?
Yeah, I mean, this is really cool. I mean, like we've said, this is kind of something you do as a child, and like you still do it. I mean, you see a balloon in the air, you don't want it to touch the floor. You know, you just keep
It's a
hitting
competitive game.
Exactly,
It brings
right.
out the inner child.
Of course, and you know, you watch these videos. I mean, like Mason said, they have like setups. They got cars, and they got tables and couches and all that. I just want to shout out the 2022 Balloon World Cup champion.
Stats.
Miguel Imbroda from
Nice,
Spain.
nice.
This guy was the gold medalist in the Balloon World Cup in 2022. So shout out to him because, you know, he clearly knows what he's doing keeping up a balloon.
Yeah, obviously. I mean, if you can jump over cars and couches, that's almost like an extreme sport in its own right. And then keeping the balloon up on top of that, like the coordination you need to be able to do that is absolutely incredible. Megan?
Well, I play balloons at my grandma's old folks' home, so it's not as extreme, but it definitely gets them moving.
I'd break some old lady's hip.
Yeah, if I have to,
My
if that balloon's about to touch the ground and she's in my way,
For it.
Hey,
Yeah.
you gotta dive for it. You gotta dive
play
for
the
it.
body.
Sorry,
My
Grandma.
spatial-
I go first.
My spatial awareness in that moment would be like -10. I'd be barreling over tables. It doesn't matter who's in my way. I'm getting to that balloon.
Right, I'd have tunnel vision and just be like me in the balloon.
Yeah. Who cares if you break a hip? You
No.
know?
You
That's
can.
why you got insurance.
They have hip
Exactly.
replacements.
Getting one of
They do
those at
have
the
those.
ripe age of 21 would kind of suck, though, because I've watched, like, I see how, not to disrespect anyone who has a hip replacement, but I don't want to be walking like that for at least 30 years yet.
Fair.
We're off to a hot start. I love it.
Yes, we are.
Very
Here
fair.
on this Thursday, here on 91.7 The Edge, WSUW Whitewater. Laz, do you have any thoughts on this?
Yeah, it's a very blue collar sport, you know. I think so. You put your hard hat on, you grab your lunch pail, and you go to work. As simple as that.
It's grueling. It's worth it.
It is.
Yeah.
And I'd love to participate in a competitive round of balloons. I know you would. I challenge you to a round of balloons.
It would be a lot of fun. If Duke was recruiting balloon players, I might be having
We
to
should have
commit
brought a
there.
balloon to the show. as
Yeah,
like
I
a
was literally
prop.
about to do that.
Well, we can show them.
Yeah.
How to, if
Just
we
like
had
a little
balloon, we can show
pickup
'em.
game, like 3v3.
Yeah.
Oh, true. Yeah.
Oh, who got next? Who got next? I brought my own balloon.
Let's make sure to not break the equipment.
I have
or else
100
we will
pack.
get
We
yelled
would
at.
probably break the equipment.
We would
yeah.
absolutely break the equipment.
Well, we move the equipment. We, like, put it somewhere else before
Somebody's
we do
going
this.
through the glass.
How about-
Somebody is getting fired.
Yeah.
I guess the final question in here is, hypothetically, if we were all to play a game that I wanted to ask, who do you guys think would lose first? I'm bringing controversy here on the show today.
Megan.
Chris.
Yeah, whoever's the shortest, which
Yeah,
I think
probably.
is me.
Yeah, probably.
Chris or Megan?
That's the easiest.
I don't know. I know you've had some
hip
injuries
hip
in the past.
injuries.
All you have to do is go for my knees, and
I know
you're
your weak
pretty
points,
safe.
Chris. I'm sorry. There might be some targeting.
But I
don't
also,
know if there's penalties
I
in this
could go
sport
right
or
back
what.
at you though.
What?
I could go right back at you.
Uh-oh.
Oh yeah.
Ooh.
I don't know. I'd put my knee brace on and it'd be over for you.
Yeah, you're probably right.
I'm indestructible with that thing.
Fortunately, there's not much of a thing I can do for my hip, which dislocated in my knee.
Drink more milk.
Nice. Is this a day when
Yeah,
Some
Laz?
strong bones.
Should have ate your spinach as a kid, man.
Yeah, really.
Is this gonna be a day when Laz is just very angry? Because that
What do you
depends
For
mean
on
it's
what?
just gonna be a day? You mean every day?
I mean, yeah, that's fair.
I don't
Average
know.
Thursday
Average
here on Hawk
Thursday.
Talk.
It's a little warm out. We'll see.
How about you
We'll
come
see.
into the fishbowl?
No.
Wow, I
Exactly.
think
Hotter
Mason,
than me.
Mason, bro, the mic.
No, he's on one right now.
He's trying to rile him up. He's
The
trying to
real
poke the
question
bear.
is, Laz, who's winning the Masters right now?
I think it's DeChambeau.
Still, he was 7 under through his first round.
I
and
think Scotty's 5 or 6 under now. Let me
Man.
take a little peek.
they're playing well so far. Just overall, I feel like.
It's not a tough sport. Just balls and holes.
Whoa.
Well,
Hot take.
someone who probably would shoot over 30 over par in 18 holes, I have to disagree with you on it being difficult.
Yeah, it's definitely not as easy as it looks.
No, it's not.
Like you
It's
said,
not.
DeChambeau, I think he's number 1 right now. He's 7 under. Scotty Scheffler is 6 under.
Where's the leaderboard? Oh, there. it
Willett
is.
is 4 under. Fox 3 under, and Pavon, who I've never heard of, is
Pavone?
also 3 under.
Pavone.
There you go.
He's kind of a dog. Matthew Pavone.
The real question
Oh,
is,
those
guys,
French
do you think
dudes.
Tiger withdraws before or after the cut line?
He's tied for 31st right now. Yikes.
Is that even or?
Yeah, it's even.
Well, he was 1 under on his first hole. It's hard to say. I feel like he usually falls apart more on the second or third day.
Yeah, because he's old.
Well, he's supposed to have this comeback like every single year. Every single year they always follow him, and he's supposed to be like, Tiger's back, and then he just
It just
hurts
doesn't
himself.
happen. Yeah.
Yeah, every year.
Tiger would not be good at balloons.
No, probably not.
But moving on to our second topic now, really quick, we're gonna talk about. We're gonna go to the sports journalism spotlight, and Megan, you're gonna take it away. We're gonna talk about some Frozen Four NCAA hockey.
Yeah, thanks so much. So, just as the men's and women's March Madness was wrapping up last week, we have another Final Four on our hands. The men's Frozen Four, the semifinals, are tonight, and the championship is at 5 p.m. on Saturday. All the games can be streamed on ESPN2. Currently, right now, the Boston University Terriers, the 2nd seed, are playing against the Denver Pioneers, the 3rd seed. And the current score is 0-1 with Boston leading. And it was a solo goal by number 11. So
Can I also just say that it's really interesting how there's 2 Boston schools in this tournament
Yeah.
still?
That was gonna be my
Boston
point.
just
Yeah, that
dominates
happens
the
a
ice.
lot. Usually,
Boston just has a monopoly on hockey, I guess.
they typically do their. I'll get to it later, but they always win a lot. Usually it's like they have a Minnesota Duluth and Minnesota Twin Cities that stay in the round, but not this year. They kind of sucked. But
Wisconsin beat them
So
multiple
aggressive.
times.
yeah. Minnesota teams are just good at losing.
Where's Wisconsin?
Yeah.
Is Wisconsin?
Wisconsin
Oh, yeah,
lost
they're
first
out
round.
first round.
Yeah, they did. They lost.
Says the guy who's from Illinois but cheers for a Michigan team.
No, you knocked that off, Chris.
Oh,
You knocked that
And a
off.
Minnesota
shots
team.
fired.
Yeah, and then following right after them on the same field is the number 1 seed Boston College Eagles versus the number 10 seed the Michigan Wolverines, and that's at 7:30 tonight. And the tournament is being hosted at the Xcel Center in St. Paul, Minnesota, the home of the Wild.
I guess the next question I have for you really quick is just tell us a little bit about all these teams and how they got here.
Right, so all the teams have multiple titles. They have 28 titles among the 4 different teams. Michigan and Denver are tied for 9 wins, while the 2 Boston colleges are both tied for 5. And 51 people on all 4 rosters, out of all 4 rosters, are going to be drafted for the NHL. So the Michigan Wolverines, this is their 3rd year back being in the Final Four, but they still haven't gone away with a title since 1998.
Sheesh.
So they're really hoping for something. And by being ranked number 10 and being in the Final Four, they've really proved their worth to be there. Yeah, it's crazy. It's a really fun story to watch. So the player to watch out for is Dylan Duke. He's the top offensive player for Michigan. He's their top scorer as well. And then they're against the Boston Eagles, which are the number 1 seed. They have a more recent championship win from 2012. They have the youngest team in the league currently because they have an all-freshman offensive lineup with Perdal, Leonard, and Smith. They've been leading well on all fronts. And then the game that's playing right now against Boston University and then the Pioneers, Denver Pioneers, what they really have going for them is their goalie, Matt Davis, who has a save percentage of 91.1%, which is fairly high. The only people higher than him are within like 1 to 2%, so he's at the top. They also have a fairly young starting lineup, but they have Coach Carl on their side, which is considered the best in the league for men's college hockey right now.
Having a great coach is definitely going to give them an edge through the rest of the tournament. There's no
Yeah.
doubt about that.
Yeah, because what Boston University has going for them is their 17-year-old projected number 1 NHL draft pick, Macklin Calabrini. He's a starting forward, and he's said to be like the real team leader. So I think already Boston having a score on the Denver Pioneers is kind of worrying because I think Matt Davis was the goalie. But I'm still excited to see what's going to happen next.
Yeah, it should be really interesting as we head further into the tournament. Like you said, the championship game is on Saturday at 5:30. I mean, it should be a great game. There's no doubt about that. But maybe just talk a little bit about the rest of the tournament and just some of the other teams, maybe like Minnesota, you said bowed out early.
Yeah, and Wisconsin lost in the first round 2-3, and it wasn't overtime though, so they did put up a fight versus Quinnipiac. For reference of people who don't watch hockey, there's only 16 teams in the whole tournament. It's fairly small, especially compared to March Madness, which had like 64 teams, right?
Mm-hmm. Correct.
Yeah, so it's a much shorter tournament. Like the women's hockey tournament already completed. It was Ohio versus Wisconsin, and Ohio won 0-1. So
Yeah, I know the Badgers women's team came up just short on that side, Ohio State. It feels like they're beating us in almost every sport, but
yeah, it's dangerous to see, but yeah, overall it's been a pretty tight tournament. Most teams have only been winning by 1 or 2 goals, so it's been exciting.
I guess I'm going to open the floor up to all you guys. What questions do you guys have for Megan really quick?
Well, just looking at this, obviously I don't know too much about college hockey. Just doing a little bit of research here, it seems that Denver and Michigan both are tied with the most national championships with 9.
Mm-hmm.
So who do you think is more likely to get their 10th, Michigan or Denver?
I really think it's Denver because they have Coach Carl on their side, and he's leading a really offensive, really huge defense for them, and they have a 2022 win and a 2017 win under their belt versus Michigan their last win is from 1998. They've been doing kind of mediocre since the late 2000s, so.
I mean, and even looking at Michigan's record, they were
Yeah.
kind of pedestrian through the whole season. Like, they were 11-11-3, I believe it is, or 11-11-2-0-2 in conference, which means I believe they won 2 in overtime and dropped 2 in overtime.
Yeah.
And that's honestly, like, it's all about getting hot at the right time, I feel like, and they definitely were able to do that because they upset Michigan State and they beat North Dakota.
Yeah.
I mean, just looking at their roster, they have, I think, 6 people with over 40 points. They have multiple people with 25-plus goals.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they just have a stacked roster, it looks like. Granted, I am very biased towards Michigan. I've always loved their hockey. I saw their jerseys and their helmets when I was like 8, and I was like, yep, those are the dudes. And I just, I've always been a big fan. So I am pretty biased saying this. I would like Michigan to win. Who are they even playing? Boston College?
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Currently.
mean, that's going to be a toughie.
Yeah.
Boston College has, you said Michigan has 4 players over 40 points.
Yeah,
Boston
I
College
see
has
that.
4 over 55 points.
Yeah, they surely do.
It's crazy how good they
They
are.
surely do, Chris.
Yeah.
Will Smith,
Whatever.
I'm assuming no relation.
Will
Cutter Gauthier, Ryan Leonard, and Gabe Peralt are just all incredible for that team from the
Yeah.
looks of it.
On
They
paper,
are-
they may be the better team.
They are all freshmen too, which is crazy.
It's
Wow.
insane.
Yeah.
So they're going to dominate for years to come, most likely.
Yeah, as long
think
as they
it's
stay
terrible.
with the same team because like a lot of D1 college sports, people switch around to try and get the best deal.
Is there still the rule that they can't go to the NHL unless they're like 20 or something, or what's the rule on that?
No.
I think you just have to be like the top dog, like a Connor
Wasn't
Bedard type
18?
player.
Was
Yeah.
he 18
Yeah.
or 17 when he
Bedard's
was
also
drafted?
not from America, and I don't think he went through the college system
Yeah.
though.
Yeah.
Like I was watching a Gretzky documentary earlier, and they said it had to be like 20.
He's
Oh.
going
So
to be
that was
17
same
years
thing.
old forever.
He's just like Jason Tatum, if you
I
guys
am
know what I
12.
mean.
Yeah.
Jason Tatum's been 19
He's
for
only 19.
7 years now.
No, he hasn't won a ring yet, but he's only 19. Give him
Dude,
some
just think
time.
about the room to grow. It's the
Yeah.
same with Connor
Potential.
Bedard being 18.
I mean, he's already played 7 seasons and he's only 19.
Yeah, he's still got so much time, dude.
Dude, he's been playing in the NBA for like half his life at this point.
Yeah.
I guess the next question I have is like, what do you think is more important in hockey in general, offense or defense?
I really think it's having an aggressive offense because you can have a really strong goalie. That's always the goal. You want a strong goalie. But it's how do you break through them?
I want to counter then
Yeah.
because obviously in the NHL, the Edmonton Oilers probably have two of the best attackers in the world, but they aren't able to do much defensively. Like, what's more important in that way? Like,
Right.
why do they not win?
Right, yeah. It has to be a balance then. I like offensive plays more. I like rooting for it. It's more fun to watch, I guess. That's where I'm getting at it.
I will say, in NHL, the video game, having a good
Good
goalie
start.
is
Yeah.
probably the most important thing. You got a 95-plus overall goalie, you will not score on him.
It's
No
like a
matter
brick wall
what you
almost.
do,
I
no
mean,
matter
like
how
Marc
good your
Andre
offense is,
Fleury
it's
is
just a
just,
brick
he's
wall.
been incredible for the NHL for years.
Is he still good? Or is he just
I'm
all
not
right
sure
now?
anymore, but I know he's still. I think he plays for the Wild now. But like for years, he was the talked about goalie for just years and years and years. Him and like Jonathan Quick for the Kings for a while. Is he still in the NHL?
I don't know. I hope
Good for
not.
you.
He
Jesus.
rained havoc upon the Blackhawks. Havoc. Absolute havoc. Not a
That
big
can
Jonathan
be
Quick
true.
guy.
But what do you think the probability is that this Boston College team stays together past this year?
I don't really think it's a high probability unless they're all really loyal to their school, like they like going there. But if they get a better offer from another D1 school, they're gonna take it, you know.
I mean, I know this kind of applies to other sports too. I'm sure you guys can all speak on this one a little more. NIL is just changing the game 100%.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for
Correct.
worse, I'd say.
Yep.
People are going where the money's at.
Well, there are two sides to that, I suppose, because you get more parity. I mean, you see like teams in March Madness and in football too. You see teams that aren't usually very good or recruit well beat like really good teams that are known for recruiting well. Because now you can just toss a bag at them. You know, you can just toss.
I saw
like, hey, I'll pay
Jack
you $1 million.
Golke on a State
Yeah.
Farm commercial 3 days after their game.
Yeah,
The
exactly.
day after he dropped 10 threes, he
Yeah.
held up a
He was
Buffalo
on a
Wild Wings
state-
box.
yeah.
And they just threw a bag at him.
I've seen him on TikTok ads a couple of
Ridiculous.
times now.
I
I
will
want to
say
say
I
it was
like
Tax Act.
I like it for guys like that who they're not
Yeah.
necessarily going to be
Yeah.
stars in the pro leagues, so their future is kind of in question.
You
Like
tell
a
me
DJ
what he
Burns,
knows
maybe?
about insurance.
But
Actually,
he's gonna
probably
know
a lot.
a lot. He's gonna
Probably a
know a
lot.
lot about it in probably
Yeah.
about 2 to 3 years, I would
Is he
think.
an
He's
insurance?
selling
Is he an
it, yeah.
insurance guy?
Well, it's kind of the
Probably
joke
he's
that
an
he's gonna be like a
accountant guy.
used
He
car
kind-
salesman
yeah,
in a couple
yeah.
years.
Yeah, that's what they call
Enterprise.
everybody that's at like a smaller level school and everything. So
That's what you get at a business degree, yeah.
My
And you
gosh.
can say, yeah, I hit 10 threes in the March Madness
I
tournament.
just don't like seeing
And
guys
I'm
going to the
State
transfer
Farm's
portal every single
Top
offseason.
employee this month.
Yeah.
Real talk though, if a guy's in college for 6 years, I
Bo
feel like
Nix.
at that point I just want to get out. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Get a job.
Yeah, but if you're
Simple
a
as that.
popular college football player, you're making a lot of money, and sometimes even more than you probably would get in the
But
pros.
Jack Golke, nobody actually knew who he was until the tournament. You know what I
That's
mean?
fair.
It's not like he was a household name before he dropped 10 threes on Kentucky.
I know so little about him. I don't even know
Wait, was that
if
his
he's
sixth
right,
year
a
in
righty or a
college?
lefty.
Yeah, it was his. He for reference, you know Tyler Hero.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Him and Tyler Hero were in their senior year in Wisconsin at the same time.
Wow.
They played against each other in a sectional final.
No wonder he looks 37 years
Yeah.
old.
I mean, that's what college is
is.
becoming.
Like an electrician.
Yeah, but he's still
like-
a bucket though.
Yeah, it's like what college is becoming because Jaden Daniels beat Justin Herbert in a college football game a few years ago. So
That's insane.
Damn.
I will say I would love Jack Golke as my lawyer. He looks like he knows the law pretty well.
Yeah, he would. Yeah, he strikes me as someone like that. I could look up his major really
His
quick
father
potentially.
is definitely a lawyer. He's the Do you know my father dude.
Yeah, he's probably the worst driver ever. He's just always getting
Goodness
just calling his dad.
Oh, yeah.
Dad, I hit somebody again.
Don't worry about it.
I know kids.
Just
love
going in on Jack Golke right now.
Jack, the insurance salesman, Golke.
I guess this is probably about the time that we
I had
should
a
probably
nickname for him.
transfer
Just-
over to college basketball, I would think. Thank you, Megan, for all the information you presented to us. We really appreciate it. I got to learn a little bit about college hockey today, which, to be honest, until about an hour ago, I knew next to nothing about. So
That's okay.
As
yeah.
well as me.
Yeah,
so-
there's not a big hockey lifestyle in Wisconsin, so it's normal.
it's not a huge thing. Mainly, I think it's in part just because we
You don't
we,
have an NHL.
we just don't have an NHL team, and that's really kind of hard to get into because
Yeah.
of that.
You haven't lived until you played pond hockey. That's so much fun.
The first time I ever played pond hockey, it was like -20 out, and I was probably 8 years old, and I started crying because my toes were so cold.
That's why it's fun.
That was not fun. But
Well, when you're-
the times after that were fine.
I
But
feel
that
like-
time,
I feel like when you're 8 years old, that's not really fun, though. You know what I mean?
that was just excruciating pain. I can still feel it.
Damn.
To this day.
The cold winds on my 8-year-old self.
So, with that, we are going to move into our second topic, which is around college basketball today. We're going to be discussing the Kentucky head coaching position, which is still currently open after, I think, a bit of a shock announcement Sunday night that John Calipari would be taking the Arkansas job. Just really quick, because I didn't really get to touch on it on my Tuesday show too much. What was everyone's initial thoughts on that move? Alex, I'll start with you.
Hallelujah.
I wasn't too surprised. Kentucky just had their second first-round loss in 3 years. We all know they just lost to an accountant in the
As
first
we
round.
just discussed.
Jack Golke. It definitely was just another year that just was not a good look for them. They haven't been past the Elite Eight, and I don't have the exact year, but I know it's been a while. But Arkansas took 12th in the SEC, and he thinks that he can turn them into a blue blood school, which I don't know. I'm sure you believe he can do it.
Well, they
I
went
think-
to 3 straight Elite Eights before last
Arkansas,
year.
yeah, they had produced some decent players. What was his name? Somerville, the coach? Is that it?
That was Eric Musselman.
Wrong one.
Musselman?
But yeah, Eric
Oh, you know it,
Musselman.
bro.
Take his shirts off after the game.
I mean, they had some good. They had some good players that came out of that program. Moses Moody on the Warriors,
Yeah.
for
Anthony
example.
Black, who's on the Magic now. Daniel Gafford, who is on the
Wizards. Oh no, Mavericks. You're right. You're right.
Bobby Portis. I mean, he didn't play for Musselman, but he played for the Razorbacks back in 2015. So
Yeah, I mean, there's some talent that's come out of that program. It's not like he's going to a school that's never been
we've
successful
got some
before.
dogs. We're an underrated basketball school.
Colin is from Arkansas, for listeners that did
By
not
the way.
know. So he is a Razorback fan.
I also saw that Kentucky wanted to get Dan Hurley to come visit, and he never even
He said
responded
no
to
way.
him. Yeah, he just.
Oh, he would. There's no way.
And
he
then
would do
I
that.
think it was
No.
their assistant said like you gave him $20 million a year, he still will not go.
Yep.
Like that's, what are you doing? Why would you even reach out?
Well, you
Now
got
you look stupid.
Yeah, I mean, Dan Hurley's going to honor UConn and probably win another championship next year, for all we know at this point.
Yep.
Megan, do you have any thoughts on just Calipari leaving?
No, I didn't know about it till this moment. So,
I appreciate the honesty, Zach.
Well, this certainly came as a surprise to me. Coach Calipari has been kind of like a staple coach so far. Like throughout the past 10 years, he's been coaching Kentucky. He definitely deserves his flowers, though. Over his 10 seasons, he won multiple Coach of the Year awards. He had 4 Final Four appearances and won the Natty in 2011, 2012. And I think one thing about him is he really prepares his kids well for the NBA. I mean, you have guys from Kentucky like Bam Adebayo, Devin Booker, Anthony Davis, De'Aaron Fox, SGA, Tyler Hero, and Jamal Murray. So it's clear that if you go into his program that he's going to make you an NBA-level talent. Now, I mean, there's not much to be said about winning college-wise because there's been a lot of NBA talent on his teams, and they haven't really made it that far college-wise.
My question for just everyone really quick is, like, is it more important to develop players for the next level or win at the level you're at? Because it kind of feels like right now he's just developing players for the next level.
Can't you do both?
Yeah, I think you can definitely do both. I think it's just the type of coach you are.
Like if your team sucks, then they're not developing at all.
Because Coach K had all those 5 stars for years and years, but still was always, even Cal until a couple of years ago had like some of the best recruiting classes of all time, but like was still able to make deep runs. But now it's just kind of he has these top recruiting classes, but he bows out in the first or second round every year.
Well, yeah, I think there has to be a balance because, I mean, if you get all these different five-star guys, of course there has to be that one guy that needs to be the guy. And then all these – because it's hard to play in a system with 5 really good players that are used to coming out of high school averaging 40 points a game. It's hard to play together when you're all averaging 40 points a game and then all of a sudden you're on the same team and you just kind of have to share the ball. So,
Yeah, it's definitely hard balancing all those egos, and that could definitely be something that you could attribute those early exits from the tournament to. When you have so many guys, like you were saying, who are just coming out being the guy in high school, and now you're asking that guy to come off the bench or sit in the corner or do something like that, people are going to get upset, and they do good. A lot of his guys end up going to the NBA and producing big numbers, but that doesn't always work in college. You see, I feel like it's a lot more blue collar, you know. It's a more system thing than an individual.
It
thing in
almost feels
college.
like the Jack Golkes of the world, or the DJ Burnses, who have been in college forever and ever. Like, especially in the tournament, it's because they've been there so many more times. It's like, I saw a stat this year that, like, freshman-led teams are less successful, especially in the first round of the tournament, because they've never been before.
Yeah.
They don't have that experience on that kind of stage.
yeah, sometimes light's too bright.
Yeah. I think it's just interesting to see, like, again, we've talked about, like, you have all this talent, and they were obviously, like, the best players on their high school teams, and you try to mesh all those kids together, and it sometimes just doesn't work. Everybody's got their own different types of play style, different types of coaches they want to play for, and maybe he wasn't the coach for them, and maybe that's why it didn't all work out, but I think it's definitely interesting that you see players that he's had on his teams go succeed in the NBA and everything, but I don't know. I think it's definitely interesting that he chose, quote unquote, like a lesser job, so to speak, in terms of like recognition. But I'm definitely interested to see who Kentucky hires from here on out.
Well, my question also is just really quickly, like, do you guys think Kentucky, like he obviously left on his own accord, but do you think Kentucky might have been behind the scenes kind of pushing him out a little bit because it's been so long since
Yes.
Yeah,
they've really had any
Conspiracy.
tournament success? Like,
Definitely
conspiracy
seen some
over
Kentucky
there.
fans saying that, and I don't know how much of that is them being salty and how much of that is truth. But it could be a little bit of both. Could be a mutual departure.
yeah, we will probably never know the truth, to be honest. That's probably more of a closed doors type of thing, and if, well, someone lets it slip, that's probably the only way we're going to figure it out. But moving back to the subject matter here, Kentucky, Scott Drew and Nate Oates have both declined the job so far. A couple other names that could be potentially in talks. Billy Donovan from the Bulls, if they decide to let him go after the season. Does anyone have any thoughts on that?
Yeah. I mean, this is not his first time being considered for the role at Kentucky. They offered him the head coach job in 2007 while he was coaching for Florida. I think he'd be a fine candidate to go there. He ranks second in SEC wins. He's got multiple national championships as a college coach.
I think his NBA results are a little mixed.
Yeah,
There's
I was
been
gonna
times
bring up
where he
his-
was wildly successful. Like with the Thunder, I think he was a little better than what he is with the Bulls.
At least for the Bulls, it just looks like he has no idea what he's doing. That team just looks awful at all times. There's never a time where I'm watching the Bulls and I'm like, wow,
There's never a time where
these
I'm
boys can
watching
play.
the Bulls.
Yeah,
I feel like
Exactly.
the
I don't think
Bulls,
they know
for
what they're
how
doing.
big of a market they are, they're irrelevant. Like they really don't make like national headlines that
And it's
often,
not like they
despite
don't
being
have the
this.
star power. I mean, they've got big names like Zach LaVine, who's obviously hurt, and then DeMar DeRozan and Alonzo Ball, who's
DeMar,
obviously hurt. So part of it's
40-year-old
injuries,
DeRozan.
and a bunch of it is probably also coaching. I mean, if you're gonna get those star names, you got to get them to work together, because there's no point.
Well, they really also haven't been able to develop players that well that year, which is weird because Donovan comes from college where like development is the main thing.
I think he's been doing a good job with Kobe White
Yeah,
at
Kobe
least.
White.
And Io.
Kobe White has emerged. I will give him that, and Io's starting to
Io
take a
for
step this
sure.
year. But
Is
other
Patty
than
Williams still there?
he's there, but he doesn't
Yeah,
really.
I was gonna
he
say
was,
he was like their first pick,
He
right?
never
They
really
drafted him as a
anything.
project, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, that was
but
ridiculous.
From
what
what
a
I've
waste.
heard, Bulls fans hate Patrick Williams.
Yeah,
They do
yeah.
not
My
like
roommate's a
Patrick
Bulls
Williams at all.
fan. They hate Patty Williams and they hate Vucevic.
yep, that's pretty much what I've heard from my friends who are Bulls fans. But Zach, do you have any thoughts on Billy Donovan
Yeah,
potentially?
I personally think that Billy Donovan is the best person for the job. Like Laz was saying, they won 2 times with Florida back in college, back in 06, 07. And obviously, he's coached for the Bulls recently, which hasn't been good. I don't think he's really had the talent personally. But he did a pretty good job with the Thunder. You know, that one year that they had Chris Paul and they weren't expected to do anything, and then they made the playoffs. So I do think that he should be considered for the job. I think that he'll probably get let go, and I think he should be the candidate because now he has NBA experience. So, I mean, he can kind of take that role that Coach Cal left, and he can basically prepare these guys for the NBA too and possibly see some success as well.
I mean, and he was wildly successful in college before that ever happened. Like, I mean, we've seen college coaches go to the NBA and, like, in football, too, where college coaches will go up. Like, Nick Saban was not great with the Dolphins in his time there. It's like, for him to be even somewhat successful, I feel like shows his ability to kind of adapt on the fly a little bit. Mason, do you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think Donovan would be probably their top option at this point. I think that even if he doesn't, like, they're definitely going to look into him. They've looked at a few other coaches that have said no. One that I think that they could definitely look at if it isn't Donovan is Mark Pope, the BYU head coach. He played there, was part of their 1996 title-winning team, was a captain there and everything. There's a few others that I won't get into right now. But I definitely think like a guy like Donovan's going to be their top choice, with a guy like Pope kind of the second or third in line if all goes not to their plans.
I want to throw out, I think they threw him out the other day, but Mark Few from Gonzaga as well. Like, does anyone have any thoughts on, I haven't heard any rumors, but I'm just trying to throw a name out there for someone
I mean,
who's
honestly,
been getting it done at a, like, kind of not lower tier program, but they're in, like, a lesser conference
Yeah.
than some of the other teams.
if they can get him, then go for it.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, it's just a lot of people have been saying no.
Yeah.
It's so weird.
Makes you think about why would they say no.
I guess
Yeah, I was
Brad
gonna-
Underwood was a candidate, Illinois' head coach.
I really don't see him leaving either.
I don't either.
It's
They
like,
just went
I
on
think
their
a lot.
deepest run in years.
A lot of that has to do with like kind of what schools the coaches are at. Like Alabama is becoming a basketball school as well as a football school, like especially in like the last 5-10 years where Nate Oates has just transcended that program to heights they haven't seen before. I mean, I guess like what does that say for Kentucky basketball? Like that they're struggling so much to find someone competent to take this role.
Well, I found that really surprising that so many people are turning it down because, I mean, they were a blue blood for a while. And, I mean, they're still...
You could still argue that they are.
Yeah, they're still like a pretty prestigious basketball school. So that just kind of surprises me. So many people are willing to turn that down.
But I think it's just they're asking the wrong people.
Yeah.
They
It could
are
be too.
asking people who already have jobs, or already have like successful teams,
Well, what they're
or
trying...
have teams that are, you know, in the middle of being built into a better team. So I don't think they're gonna want to just up and leave their program to go to some where that like new students are gonna be coming in. Other people are gonna be expecting like Capillary's coaching styles, and I just don't think they want to have to deal with that.
I think an interesting way to go about it, but I don't think they would ever do this, is look at like the mid-major ranks and like look at who's been successful at those levels and why, and see if they could implement like a similar style. Because I feel like division, like the Power 6 conferences are pretty straightforward in kind of what they do and what makes their program successful. It's like every conference is kind of known for something. Like the Big 12 was great for defense this year. The Big 10's usually pretty physical. But if you look at like some mid-major schools, they have like almost gimmicks where it's like they're just good at this. Like, do you guys think like any of those type of ideas could work?
Well, I do think people sleep on mid-majors. I mean, you see there's always one mid-major school that just overperforms in the tournament and plays really well. So I definitely think that's a good option because people don't really give them the credit they deserve.
I mean, I know like Rick Pitino could be another option too. Like I was just wondering like if you could throw that out. I mean, he took the St. John's job, but does anyone have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, he coached them in the 90s, and he had a 219-50 record at Kentucky in the 90s, so a lot of success there. That's like an over 80% winning percentage. And then he left them for the Boston Celtics in 97, and he was quoted as saying multiple times that his biggest career regret is leaving Kentucky for the Celtics in 97. So definitely there could be some desire for him to return. I mean, he's seen some success at St. John's, and I mean, he knows the Kentucky system. I mean, it might be almost 30 years ago that he coached there now, but
I mean, everything is so different just in
Yeah.
college ball in general these days.
he's
But
shown some desire to come back, and a guy who has shown multiple different schools that he can win at the college level. I think that's a great candidate for the job.
does anyone else have any thoughts? I mean, Pitino took Iona to the tournament last year, and they were one of the few teams that I saw all year in the Big East tournament, they gave UConn a legitimate run this year, and St. John's isn't exactly known as a huge basketball school either.
I mean, lately they've been, they've been making a name for themselves. That took forever to spit out.
Good.
It's all good, Alex.
Sorry, I thought Tiger Woods just hold out. I got a little excited.
It's unfortunate.
He didn't.
But I guess really quickly, does anyone else have any other final thoughts on any potential candidates? I know I think Sean Miller was thrown out, former Arizona coach as well. Does anyone have any thoughts on that?
I've heard Tommy Lloyd from Arizona, who's had an 81.5 winning percentage in his 3 seasons at Arizona, so definitely a lot of success there. Will he want to leave Arizona for Kentucky? I don't know. I don't know, a part of why these coaches could be saying no is Kentucky's a school where, like we were talking about, a lot of big-name freshmen come in, and they don't really want to stay in college for long. Kentucky gets a lot of guys that are trying to go pro and a lot of one-and-dones. And so a lot of these coaches are used to getting to know these guys over 4 years, developing them, and then sending them off. And I think that is a big part of succeeding in college basketball, is keeping a group of guys together, getting them that experience when they're freshmen and sophomores. So when they're juniors and seniors, they have that experience and they've been doing it so they can actually go out and compete. When you get a group of freshmen together who just were playing high school ball last fall, it's going to be hard for them to compete with all these grown men. So a lot of guys are probably not going to want to really go in there and get these big ego freshmen who are trying to go pro and don't really care about college.
I guess an interesting question. I just want to throw this out there as a joke, but Greg Gard?
I don't like that guy.
Yeah.
I don't like him. They need to fire him. They need to get some new guy in
fire
there.
him and throw him at Kentucky.
Yeah, no, he can go to Kentucky. That's all right, because he doesn't recruit well. I mean, we need someone that can actually
He
get
can take his
people.
Lakeville North pipeline with him, too.
Yeah, exactly. He
But-
can leave.
But moving into our last topic of the day here, the NBA season is closing out rather rapidly. I believe the last set of games are this weekend. I want to talk about the Bucks really quick, just because I think inconsistency is the best way to put them right now. It's just been an absolute up and down roller coaster of a season. Zach, I'll start with you. What were your thoughts on them taking down Boston, the Giannis injury, just all of it?
Yeah, well, the Giannis injury is obviously very unfortunate. They had a game last night, actually. They didn't play with Giannis, and, I mean, they played a Magic team. That's no joke, Orlando Magic.
Orlando Magic.
Yeah, and they beat him by 18. So, I mean, they've beaten 2, premier East teams by double digits now. So the Giannis injury is very worrisome because it's kind of reminiscent of last year when they played the Heat and then Jimmy Butler just dropped 50 every single game and they unfortunately lost.
I hate that guy. I'm sorry. I hate that guy so much.
The Heat are currently sitting at the 8 seed with the Sixers at 7.
That's
so they're locked in, I think, pretty much to play in that matchup.
That's
in the
exactly
play-in.
where they want to be. They want the 8 seed. Just so they can knock off a 1 or 2 seed, and then every Heat fan ever can just hype them up for the next until they do it again. I'm so
Which is
sick
next
of,
year,
yeah,
probably.
I'm so
Bucks
sick
get
of
to
Miami.
The first round, they are in some serious trouble, especially with this Giannis injury, not knowing when he's going to come
He's
back.
leaving and he's taking Thanasis with him. Huge blows to the organization.
Yeah, it's definitely gonna
One
be,
of them.
It's definitely going to be interesting who's going to get that because you got that 7 and 8. 7 seed right now is the Sixers. 8 seed is the Heat. So whoever wins that is presumably going to be playing the Bucks because that'll be the 7 seed. I'm just glad that we're not playing the Pacers because I think if we play the Pacers, we lose.
Yep.
In a 7-game series?
Yes.
Really?
In the regular season, we could not be the Pacers to save our lives, and that's because
That was also with Coach Griffin, though.
this is true. But
It's only
I just
Doc's
think
much better.
I
Doc's
think.
been worse.
I think that.
Yeah.
Also, I don't think we played the Pacers after Siakam got traded there. All of our matchups are early in the year.
Yeah, but Indiana just plays a type of basketball that the Bucks can't really.
They get
defend.
tired.
But
Well, yeah.
they've been so lackluster as of
Tyrese
recent.
Halliburton has just
Bum.
not been who he was in the
He's
first half.
bum
Whoa,
status.
whoa, whoa! No.
Bum status.
No, absolutely not.
Bumstead.
This guy's awesome.
Come on.
I mean,
he was
okay.
awesome.
Here's the thing with Indiana: because they run that pick and roll so often, and obviously Halliburton is a fantastic passer, probably the best in the league.
One of them, yeah.
Yeah.
Let's look at his last 10.
You have him against Brooke Lopez, who is not. He is slow. He's old. He's
He's
slow.
about as mobile as Zach Edey.
Exactly. He's not good in a pick and like he might have been like a couple of years ago, but he just isn't. Right now, he's just a shot blocker. He needs to sit at the rim. And so when you have Miles Turner, who's a good shooter, and he comes off the pick and roll, and Brooke plays drop defense, which I mean does not work against the Pacers because you have Tyrese Halliburton who can shoot it, and you have Miles Turner that can shoot it, and that's why they kept losing.
I mean,
Because
they're
can't
second in
defend it.
offense in the league, but they're 24th in defense.
Yeah.
So I mean,
I think the
against
big thing is
against a
just
bigger, badder Bucks team,
outscoring them.
Yeah.
against like a bigger Bucks team in a 7-game series. Granted, if Giannis is healthy, if Giannis is not healthy and they would have to play them, I mean, I would take Pacers in probably 6.
I think the big thing
But
isn't
if Giannis
Giannis.
is healthy-
It's what Dame can do. I think
Oh,
Dame is honestly
brother.
more important in that series because a lot of it comes down to like Giannis is going to get his 30 and 10
Yeah.
against them every game, but it's whether Dame shoots 10 for 23 or not 10 for 23, like 10 for 19 or 4 for 17. I think that's honestly the X factor to whether the Bucks win or lose, and then having Middleton out there as well frees up more opportunities for Dame just offensively.
Well, and I was saying this on yesterday's show too about the Bucks. I mean, last night Dame against the Magic without Giannis dropped 29 on 10 for 19. I just don't think he's comfortable playing with another star.
Yeah, but the game
That's
before,
not his game,
I mean,
yeah.
the game before that, he had 12 points. I think that was the Boston game with Giannis.
The Bucks
So-
as a team play good in that game though. Like Bobby Portis has had a couple of decent games as of late. He's definitely picked his game up a lot after Doc Rivers came in charge, but someone who hasn't but is still getting minutes, Pat Connaughton. Anyone have any thoughts on him?
Trade him. Well, next season.
Let
I
him
don't even
go.
think anyone has
You wouldn't get anything decent
maybe a
back with
second
Pat
rounder
Connaughton.
in like
Second
4
round pick,
years
yeah,
or
like, what are we
something.
talking about
Good
here?
luck in China, buddy.
Yeah.
Sheesh.
I don't know why they don't play AJ Green more. I mean, AJ
Yeah.
Green is just a better Pat Connaughton.
he is the better version of Pat Connaughton.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think it's just almost like a reliability thing.
He's the Michael Jordan of Pat Connaughton's. Is that what you're telling me?
I'd say Grayson Allen is the Michael Jordan of Pat Connaughton.
I would say Dante DiVincenzo is the Michael Jordan of Pat Connaughton's.
Crazy.
Also, on the West side, the Lakers and Warriors are locked into the 9 and 10 seeds. They will play each other in the play-in. Guys, how do you think that turns out? Megan, do you have anything on this one?
No, I don't follow basketball, unfortunately.
That is unfortunate. Mason, do you have anything?
I think that the Warriors will take it just because they're a little bit more hot.
They are going to be on the road, though, I think.
Yeah, they're still more hot. Like the Lakers have lost their last 2, while Golden State's won their last 2. Obviously, when you have Steph Curry, you can do pretty much. If he gets hot, just watch out. I know that we were talking yesterday, and we said that they could be like a potential dark horse, even in the whole entire tournament.
You know, last year the Warriors were like 10 and 31 on the road. And then this year they're 24 and 16. That's a weird stat to me. Does anyone else have any thoughts on
Yeah,
any
I
of
mean,
that?
I watched that Lakers-Warriors game the other night, and obviously Anthony Davis was out, and I think that was the difference.
He's such a baby,
I mean,
dude.
the Warriors, obviously, they're going to hit their threes, and they were doing that. But they were also able to get into the paint and get a bunch of uncontested layups because we didn't have really any paint presence. I mean, we were running a lineup with Rui Hachimura as our center, or their center, I guess. But just having Anthony Davis out there, that paint presence is just so vital to be able to defend shots and just scare guys away from coming into the paint. So I think with AD and LeBron both healthy, I think the Lakers take that one. But
This
if
play-
Warriors
the
get
West
hot,
play-in is
they
just
can win
so
any game,
stacked.
you know?
Yeah, it's like the Warriors would probably be like a 5 or a 6 in the East, to be honest. And they're the 10 in the West.
I mean, it's Lakers, Warriors, Suns, and Kings. That's crazy.
Like all of those teams,
Lakers
you
are
could
gonna beat the Warriors
You
and
could
lose
make
to
a
the
case that
Kings
any
again.
of them could have a chance. I mean, it's not a great chance against the Nuggets, but like you could make an argument for like the Kings, for example, that they could have a chance in that series.
Yeah, and just going back to that Laker game, the Warriors hit 26 threes,
Yeah.
which is the
It
most
was
they've
bananas.
ever had in
Yeah.
team history. Yeah, I mean, it was ridiculous. I mean, they just literally could not miss. They
I mean,
shot
Draymond
60
Green hit 5
Yeah.
threes.
I felt like
Shot
dude,
63%.
I felt like I died and went to hell watching Draymond Green
Yeah.
make 5
Well,
threes.
it was giving me PTSD as a
What
LeBron
was he
fan from, like,
doing out there?
2016.
Yeah, that finals
It's
game.
like his
when he hit,
Game 7 game,
threes.
yeah.
Oh, man. But I think one thing really interesting is where the Phoenix Suns are going to end up. in the they have to play the Kings and the Timberwolves, and I think if the Suns don't get a 6 seed, I think they're bounced first round. I don't. See
I'm
them
gonna be
advancing.
honest with you. I'm not super high on the Suns.
Oh,
like
yeah.
every time
No,
I
dude.
watch them, they look like a disappointment.
They're the poor man's Brooklyn Nets.
Bradley Beal got there and just like forgot how to play basketball lately. Forgot how to stay healthy too. Like I don't even know how many games he's played this year, but I feel like anytime I turn on a Suns game, I do not see Bradley Beal anywhere. To be
Watching
found.
them this year is almost depressing to me because it's like they got all these stars that we like know are these great players like Beal, Booker's still killing it this year. He's still doing his thing. Durant, I feel like every time now obviously his stats are still incredible, but every time I watch him it almost feels like he's taking a step back a little bit.
It just feels like KD is like cursed to just go to these super teams that won't be successful. Like it feels like he sold his soul for that Warriors dynasty they had there because he's just been going to teams, getting all his superstar friends, and then just getting bounced in the first or second round, and none of them ever stay healthy. Like this is the second team in a row he's been on that has had 3 superstars who just haven't been able to stay healthy or ever get anything going together, and they always just get bounced super early in the playoffs.
They definitely would have beaten that Phoenix team if they went to the finals that year when they had the Eastern Conference Finals against the Bucks.
Yeah.
But
Oh, yeah.
KD's
Oh,
size,
His size,
50 foot was on the
25
line.
shoot.
Yeah.
If KD just had an average size foot, they win that series. And
They win that
win
series
the finals
and then they win the
probably.
finals, yeah.
There's a little doubt in my mind.
Because, I mean, I think Kyrie was hurt he was out for at least a couple more games. I don't think he was out for the rest of the playoffs.
He got injured in game 3, but I don't know how much further past that he would have been out for. And Harden was playing injured. Like he had, I think, some hamstring
Yeah,
issues or
he had
something.
He had some hands.
I guess.
I mean, they win that year, which kind of sucks. But I was all for that Brooklyn Nets downfall. Like, all for it.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
I
same.
love
Yeah.
watching
All
Kevin
for
Durant
it.
just
I didn't
go
want
and
to
get all
see
these superstars and just continue to lose. After what he did to me,
He used to be a
personally,
good guy, man.
in 2016.
Steve Nash was an abomination of a coach, too, which is weird because I feel like he'd be one of the type of guys that could really succeed in that field.
Yeah, well, I mean, when you have a guy who has such a high basketball IQ, like Rajon Rondo that he's talking about becoming a coach, it's like you would think it would work well, but
It
just
doesn't
didn't in that
always.
case.
I just don't think he had a personality to be a coach. I mean, there's a difference between IQ, like as a coach, and like actually being a coach, because you have to control all these personalities.
Yeah.
I mean, you have to control Kyrie, for
James
one,
Harden.
and James Harden, and
Yeah.
Kevin Durant, and all these guys. So I feel like that's kind of difficult. Like if Rajon Rondo were to be a coach, I don't know if he'd succeed, just because he's got high IQ, but I don't know. He seems like kind of a quiet guy. I don't
Dude,
feel
that
like he-
team
I
was
don't hear too
literally
much
keeping
about
up with the Kardashians. Like, everybody on that team was just such a drama queen.
Oh my
Oh,
goodness,
yeah.
yeah.
I mean,
The
you
top.
had Kyrie saying the Earth was flat. You had James Harden always in the strip clubs, and then
Always.
Kevin
They
Durant. just on
retired his
Twitter.
jersey at a Houston strip club.
Yeah, he
Isn't
has
that
jersey-
crazy?
Yeah, yeah.
That is wild.
At least it's going to be retired somewhere, man. I mean, he's too good to not have his jersey retired somewhere.
At least you know where
Houston,
his paychecks
probably.
are going.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly. Direct deposit.
He's best friends with Lil Baby.
that's probably why he went to the LA Clippers. I mean, LA. it's-
Oh my.
More often.
For sure.
good town.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a lot of opportunities there. But moving on to another series, speaking of LA, the Clippers and Mavericks are only a game apart at this point. What once seemed like the Clippers were a lock to be in that top 4, the Mavericks, if they get another win, they top them. They're 9-1 in their last 10, and the Clippers, I mean, without Kawhi Leonard, I'm not super high on that team.
Well, I do believe they're already set to play each other.
Yeah, even
Uh,
if it would just switch 4
yeah,
5.
Yeah,
They're-
I
they're
think
for sure
home
playing
court
each other.
advantage is going to be
Yeah.
important
Yeah.
in
Oh,
that series.
I would agree.
Luka Doncic is gonna dominate.
He's going to
Owns
spank
the
Paul
Clippers.
George and Kawhi
He's
Leonard
gonna
on their
average
bottoms.
a 40-point triple-double in that.
It's going to be like deja vu, a chance to send the Clippers home.
Aren't they
And then
like
he's going to...
aren't they the best team in the last 10 in like the whole entire league?
The
Yeah.
Dallas,
Yeah,
they're
it's
not
yeah,
doing
they've
that.
been-
Dallas has just figured it out.
It's insane.
And I mean, Kyrie's been Ramadan Kyrie is
Unbelievable.
One of is a top 10 NBA player in history. I mean, he's hitting left-handed floaters from 25 feet to win games. And then you just have Luka Doncic just averaging my career numbers over there. He's my pick for MVP, honestly. That Mavericks team is looking really good. And then you got that rookie, Derek Lively, who's been a good paint presence and a good lob threat.
And they also have Daniel Gafford and PJ Washington, kind of pieces that, like, the reason the Mavs have struggled the last few
No
years is
size.
because they just don't have
Yeah.
depth and size. And now it feels like they've kind of patched those holes a little bit.
I know JaVale McGee was there, I'm pretty sure, for a little bit.
I think he still is.
Is he still
not?
there?
I thought he was on the Kings now.
Yeah.
But I know
Yeah, I think you're right. You're right.
either before him or after he left, I don't know if he's still there. Maxi Klebo was like their big man.
Dude,
He's still there,
Maxi
I
Kleber
think.
always
But
hits game winners against the Lakers, bro. I feel like he's hitting like 2 or 3.
I've always
I've
said
never
if-
watched a Dallas Lakers game that Dallas has not won.
Yeah.
Same with Sacramento.
Well, there was that
Dude,
one
just
where,
everybody
where
beats 'em.
Dallas was up by like 20, 27. It was either this year or last year, I can't remember, and then the Lakers ended up coming back. But that was an anomaly. Most of the time, it's going to end up tied, and the ball's going to find Maxi Kleber's hands, and he's going to hit a 3. The first points he has all night to win the game.
I hate him.
That's
too.
the thing that sucks about watching the Lakers. It's like, however much they're up by, it's never safe.
The-
you know,
dude,
they're coming
Watching
back.
a Lakers game, they'll be down like
Bucks game is a
30.
perfect
They'll be
example.
down like
That's- yeah,
30 in the
that's-
first half, and then by the end of the game, they lose by 2 points. It's like, why don't you just do that the whole game? Like, why?
It's like they
just
choose to
why
lock
weren't you
it
just
in the
stressing
fourth
out
quarter.
Fans. No
Why weren't-
lead is
yeah.
safe with them on both sides. If they're up, that lead isn't safe, and if they're down, that lead isn't
They
safe.
just like to mess with you guys.
I know.
Oh, yeah.
They're taking years off my lifespan.
Nobody hates me
I should
more
sue them.
than
I
LeBron
should sue
James
Rob
and
Williams.
Anthony Davis.
I have a question for all you guys. So say the Grizzlies hypothetically were healthy all year. Like Ja played, he wasn't suspended at all, and he never had his injury. Jaren Jackson Jr. and Desmond Bain were both healthy all year. Where do you guys think they end up in this whole Western Conference mumbo jumbo?
I think they would
11th.
have been like a 5 seed.
Really?
Yeah, no, I like 5-6 seed probably.
I don't think they would have been.
I don't
they
think
would've
they're
been better
bad.
than
Like,
Denver,
they're
the
still a
Thunder,
good
or the
team.
Timberwolves.
I mean,
I would put them like 6.
I think the biggest thing for them was not having Steven Adams. I think whenever they didn't have
When
Steven Adams, he was
he's
such a-
traded now.
He is.
He's on the Rockets. Yeah, when he comes back next
But
year.
if he had played this season, like hypothetically, obviously everyone being healthy, I mean that's a good team. Like they have everything that you need to be a good team.
They got the
So,
sharpshooting wing. They got the explosive point guard, guy that can fly up to the rim. They got Jaren Jackson,
they
who's great
lost their
defensively.
Draymond though. They lost Dylan Brooks, and
Yeah.
Dylan. Say what you
I
want
think
about
Dylan Brooks did more harm than good for them, to
For
be
them,
honest.
yeah.
I don't
Oh,
think
he
so.
poked the bear.
Yeah, he did poke the bear.
Yeah. He's the reason LeBron put up 40 on them and sent them home.
He brought that edge to the Grizzlies team, which
I think he works better with the Rockets. I think he's learned to not.
dude, the Rockets. I mean,
quiet
they
down a little
impressed me this year. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, I
They
mean,
did.
I think
They made some good moves
they've
last
got a lot to
offseason.
look forward to going into next year. I mean, they're super young. They've got Şengün. who's been
I think they're
super good.
about 2 pieces away from being like a legitimate contender.
Or just develop the guys they have.
If all the
those
rookies
two
could
pieces
just-
could already be on the team, Chris.
Amin Thompson.
If all the
Thompson,
rookies could just
Şengün,
stop
Jalen
messing
Green.
around with Instagram models, the Rockets would be a 4 seed.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it was kind of weird in the offseason too. I mean, Fred VanVleet and Dylan Brooks were just 2 weird signings, especially with how much money they gave him. I mean, I don't think VanVleet deserved that contract. I mean, I don't
Was it
think
He's been playing
180?
good. He's a dog.
it was. Yeah, it was like
He's been
180
playing
For
good,
three?
but not
For 3
worth
years?
that
something.
much.
Yeah, not that much.
Was it a 3-year 180? If I remember correctly.
Yeah, it was,
It was
3
a
or
big
4.
deal, but I
That's
don't remember
ridiculous.
what it was off
He
the top of my
robbed
head.
them.
Wait, 3
He
years.
stole
180?
from them.
Something like that.
That's
yeah.
60 mil a year.
Okay, well, that's
For
probably
Fred
four.
Van
Hold on,
Vliet.
hold on. Maybe
That
it
might
was just
be a-
80 mil.
That might be a little high,
I think
but
that's
I don't
that's
know.
like Steph Curry.
here, let me look it up really quick.
All I remember, it was way too much money. But no, I.
Okay, 3-year, 128 mil.
I mean, either way,
Oh,
I still
close
think
enough.
Yeah,
Okay,
bad.
so
I
he's
still
gonna
think
have
that's
40 million.
too much for a guy like Fred Van Vliet's a good player. Don't get me wrong, but I don't know. I
He's
feel like
making enough
that's
money
just
to
too much.
buy Whitewater.
Pretty
To
much.
buy our school.
I
Dude,
thought.
Shout out Fred Van Fleet. Please fund next year's Edge Fest.
Yeah, throw us a couple mil, bro. Let's get some renovations.
Just like
going.
1 or 2.
Yeah,
We
I
get
mean,
state
you'll
of the
be
art.
fine.
We get a state of the art board and
And I
Mike's
mean,
in here.
He
Yeah.
plays for the Rockets, so there's like no state tax. He's keeping like
Right.
all that money.
My question is, I thought they were going to go for Chris Middleton in the offseason. They just, I don't know. He came back to Milwaukee. I genuinely thought him and Brooke would both be gone this
Yeah.
offseason.
I
And
think
they're both
He's
back.
earned himself another year on the team. by the way he's
Middleton?
been playing.
Middleton or Van Vliet?
Middleton.
Okay. But yeah, I really thought that both of those guys were just going to be priced out, and I thought those would be the moves the Rockets made, not the ones that they did. It almost felt like they grown impatient with the rebuild stage, and they just wanted to get back to kind of relevancy again because we knew them as, I called them the AAU team last year, where they just didn't play any defense and played all offense. Because like Jalen Green and those guys don't really offer much defensively.
They just jump out of the gym.
That's why you get a guy like Dylan Brooks.
Yeah, it's definitely made a positive impact. But another team, really quick, I want to talk about before final thoughts is, what do you guys think the Timberwolves will do this year?
That's hard to say without Cat.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, they don't have Cat right now. But Anthony Edwards is that dude. Like, he is looking
Yeah.
to make that superstar leap. I mean, I think he is a superstar personally already.
If they end up playing the Lakers, I think they get bounced in the first round.
I do agree with that.
I also agree with that.
You mean
I
the
mean-
Lakers get bounced to the Timberwolves?
Timberwolves.
Bye-bye.
Because what? They play the winner of the 7-8?
Also,
Yeah.
Chris, are you
Okay.
sure the Lakers are locked into that 9 seed? Because I think they're only down.
Yeah, it's half a game.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
half-
they have.
Wait,
both
It
La-
have-
says
Lakers
clinch
won't play
play-in
Timberwolves.
position on here though.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
it's so weird. Like,
they're
I was looking at that
guaranteed
earlier.
nine.
They're locked. No, they're
Nine,
locked into the play-in, but they're not locked into their seed. They
Yeah.
could still end up. in
Oh,
that
okay,
7-8
okay,
matchup.
okay. Understood.
Which
So
I
they
think
could
they really gotta do.
hypothetically pass the Kings if things go right for them.
Correct.
I do think that the Lakers need home court. Like, if they play
Yeah.
on the road against the Warriors, it's not going to look good. I think they need home court.
They're 28-14 at home and 17-21 on the road. So that's a pretty steep difference. And the Chase Center in the playoffs is just so hard to win at.
Absolutely.
I'm
Objectively,
so sick of watching them.
the Warriors.
No, the Lakers.
Says the Lakers fan.
Yeah, I'm just sick of it, dude.
Nobody hates the Lakers more than Lakers fans.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I have nothing good to say about Rob Pelinka.
It's all right,
Nothing.
man. The Yankees started up recently too. I heard they're doing pretty good. Alabama football's in a couple months too. So
Yeah.
the
And they got, a
Cowboys.
new
a
head,
bandwagon
they got a new head
joke, man.
coach. Maybe that's not going to be the same over at Alabama.
Maybe the
Making a
tides are
bandwagon
turning for the
joke.
better.
I don't appreciate
I
it.
get it. I see what you did there.
I'm not a bandwagon.
But with that, we're gonna move into final thoughts. I guess I'll start it off really quick. Edgefest tonight, 7:30 at Jitters. We got the band The Ideal featuring Carson Gabord, our Wednesday host, and Hawk Talk contributor Alex Monty. They're gonna be playing some cover songs. Make sure to pop out and check them out. We got a drink called the Palomino as well. It's a nice milkshake. Megan, you can tell us a little bit more about that too.
Yeah, the Palomino is a cheesecake milkshake with graham crackers in it. It's
Ooh.
yummy. Yeah, come on down where it's Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. There's live music every single day, and it's in Wells East, which is the towers over by Esker.
We got a lot of UW Whitewater alumni coming back to play some sets. It should be a really fun. Colin, any final thoughts?
I can't wait for Edgefest. I'm ready for it.
Yeah. Oh, just because the poster has a cowboy on it, very wonderful cowboy, does not mean everyone there is singing country. So there's a variety of music.
The theme is Western, though. Us on the exec board here decided on that. And Nikki, our graphic designer, did a fantastic job
Yep.
designing the graphics this year. So shout out to her. Mason, your final thoughts.
So I am a kind of closet Raiders fan. I've known their GM, Tom Telesco. I've had a few interactions with him.
That's a flex right there.
Yeah, that's a flex. I'm going to say that they take Talize Fuanga, the tackle from Oregon State in the first round, then they're going to trade back up into the first round to get Michael Penix Jr. for their three-man quarterback competition between him, Aiden O'Connell, and Gardner Minshew.
I'm really interested to see how that turns out. Do you have any early predictions on which way you think they're going to turn?
I think they might just do Minshew. I don't think O'Connell's kind of a true starter. I think they paid Minshew kind of that bridge quarterback money, so I think that's why what they're going to roll with.
And I know obviously you're probably not going to get much info out of Telesco, but is Tay there to stay, or is he
I would say he's definitely there to stay. I don't think he's going to go anywhere, especially with a new GM there. They're fine with cap space, so there's no real situation there. I think him and Penix would work so well together.
interesting? We will see if that's where they decide to go. Zach?
Yeah, I just want to say prayers up to O.J. Simpson's family. He passed away today at the age of 76. Now, obviously, his kind of image isn't really
It's rather
football.
controversial to say the least.
Yeah, but what he did on the
He-
field, wow.
Yeah,
he
that
was
was
an
a
incredible
Wow.
running back. There's no denying that.
But unfortunately, his legacy is not that. But, rest in peace. So.
Megan,
Nothing
could you
much.
give us an update on the score really quick of the
Yeah.
Frozen 4 game?
Let me look that up here.
Two Boston teams is so insane for that, by the way. It's just-
Yeah,
it's
I was
incredible.
shocked. To be honest, I didn't even know there was a Boston University until today.
So Denver actually lost. So Boston University won 1-0. They won
Wow, low scoring. It was a barn burner.
Yeah. Damn.
I'm going to have 46 Palomino milkshakes at Edgefest.
46 over under for last tonight.
I'm taking the over.
Yeah, take
I'll
the
take over, and
Take
I'll
the
be over with you.
Take the over.
Yeah.
I'll be
I
over
will.
with you.
I'll be intrigued to see you at around 7:30 tonight. Then
I mean, a cheesecake milkshake with graham crackers? Come on now.
it's
Do they
gonna hit
take-
the spot. There's
Do
no
they
denying
take
that.
card? Is that okay?
I
Yeah,
will-
we take card, cash, or
Let's
Apple Pay.
go.
I'll work
Um,
for it.
I do. You can
I'll do
volunteer-
manual labor
You
for
can come
it.
in the kitchen. I'll make you work. Yeah, I'm gonna be in the kitchen volunteering tonight. I misspoke on the Denver Boston. It's in the third quarter. Not quarter.
The third quarter is like an oxymoron,
yeah,
I feel
it is.
like.
It's in the third period, and it's 1-1. I was looking at the wrong update.
Thank you for that update, but that's
The
going to
third
do it.
Trimester.
That's
Yes.
going to do it for Hawk Talk here on 91.7 The Edge, WSUW Whitewater. Also streaming live on UWW-TV through YouTube. Nolan will be back here on Thursday next week. It was fun to step in with you guys. But we're going to kick it back to some music now as we've hit 6 o'clock. We got Blue Boy by Mac DeMarco coming up first.